All right, welcome. This may look a little unusual for those few of you who followed our ongoing adventures. Normally in the Intrepid Dare 3 Whiskey Bravo, we've switched, though, now to the Cessna Citation Longitude 343 Bravo Whiskey instead of 343 Whiskey Bravo. You'll also notice that it's blessedly quiet. I have decided to get a divorce from ATC. I've noticed a lot of the guys who do flights on YouTube don't seem to rely on ATC, or they cut it out because it's so unreliable, and I've decided to do the same. This is how I used to fly in FSX without ATC, and that's how I'm doing it now. So I'm not willing to rely on them to tell me when to descend because they just it's too buggy. So we're cruising at 34,000 feet, and we're 111 nautical miles from Kahului, Maui, the great state of Hawaii. PHOG, Papa Hotel Oscar Golf. And we are now going to begin our descent by clicking on the vertical speed button and beginning a descent of 1,800 feet per minute. You see the island of Maui out in front of us. We're going to use the auto throttle to decrease our airspeed slowly. We've been fighting headwinds the entire flight. We took off from Sacramento International, and the entire flight across the Pacific, which I have conducted in real time, I will point out, has been dealing with a very significant headwind. So I say that because let's actually increase our descent rate to 2,200 feet per minute and slow down to 265 knots indicated airspeed. I say that reference to the headwind because I started the timer when we began our takeoff roll. That was 5 hours, 20 minutes, 7 seconds ago. We expected this flight to take about 5 hours and 5 minutes from Sacramento. So this headwind has added a solid half hour to our flight. But that's just how it goes. We expect to be landing, as you can see here, on runway 02, to the northeast. Winds are out of the northeast. Last time I checked at 17 knots, although that was a couple hours ago. But it's the trade winds, so you'd expect the winds to be coming from the northeast. 82 degrees last time I checked in Maui. My first Trans-Pacific flight in Flight Simulator, so that's very exciting. Although it'll be more exciting when I land. Zoom in here one more notch. Fuel consumption still not fixed on the sim. By that I mean the aircraft is consuming more fuel than this aircraft would in real life. So that's an issue, but not a big one because it's easily dealt with in flight. Maui's easily within range of for this airplane from Sacramento, easily. But we had to deal with fuel issues, but it's not a problem. We're fine right now as it comes to fuel. We've got 134 gallons on board, 67 left, 67 right. Should be plenty. Still learning this airplane, though, I have to confess. I'm still learning how to handle all of its various particulars. The runway we're landing at, 02, has an ILS frequency I checked on the approach plates of 110.1. I've already inputted that. So we're gonna, as you can see, gonna overfly the island and then essentially just make a big U-turn. At camps, CAMPS, the approach plate says we're supposed to be at 3,000 feet. And at Tebs, we're supposed to be at 2,400 feet, according to the approach plate. Distance between camps and Tebs is 9.2 nautical miles. Distance between Tebs and the airport, 7.2 nautical miles. So that's nice because it's basically a 16.4 mile approach, which is music to my ears. Showing us 84 nautical miles from the airport right now, 14 minutes at our current airspeed. I'm continuing to slow. I used to do this flight all the time. Well, I've done it in real life. Oh, I don't know. Maybe a dozen times. Round trip. But I used to do this flight in FSX. Oh my gosh. I've probably done it 50 times. Not necessarily to Kahului, but to Hawaii, or either Honolulu or Lihue in Kauai, or Kahului or Hilo in the Big Island, whatever. But this is the first time I've done it in 15 years. So I'm excited to see Hawaii in the sim. I have not gone here. I'm kind of a kook when it comes to the sim. I won't go anywhere that I can't fly, like directly to. And I have not gotten into the jets until yesterday. Thus, there was no way for me to get to Hawaii. The TBM didn't have the range, obviously. So that's exciting, very exciting to be able to see how Flight Sim 2020, Microsoft Flight Sim 2020, shows Hawaii. If it's even a sliver as impressive as the rest of the scenery has been, then we should hopefully have a beautiful descent, approach, and then, please God, a good landing. I am definitely anxious about that, just because there's still issues that I've been dealing with as it relates to reliability. That is, I land, fly the numbers at the approach speed, 150 knots and what have you, and yet everything kind of goes to shit. Anyway, we'll see what happens here, but you can see we're obviously approaching Maui. That island just beyond Maui, right there, is Lanai. And then I think this one is Kulawa? I think it was a military range. I don't know that there's anything in the way of tourist attractions, or at least certainly nothing like what you would expect to find in Maui. I've not been there, but I have been to Maui many times, and it's a joy to be returning. I continue slowing. I adopt the standard that most people use in the sim world and in real life in terms of how to handle a descent. I'm trying to do what ATC just hasn't been able to consistently deliver, and that is a step-down approach. Not some crazy radical descent that's totally unrealistic. No. Instead, what you would expect. You know, in a real aircraft, 20 minutes out. The normal rule is 3 times the distance in thousands. So if you're, for example, at 30,000 feet, you'd begin your descent at 90 miles. And I've adopted that old, trusted policy of mine and others in this flight. I am seeing that we are now receiving ILS data from IOGG. That's great news, showing us 21.6 nautical miles from the airport. Keep in mind, however, that we aren't flying directly to the airport. No, we are flying instead to beyond the air, beyond it, to then turn around and handle the descent and the approach, more specifically. Headed right now to Munju is our next waypoint, showing us only 74 seconds from Munju, traveling at 244 knots indicated. I'm a little rusty on these types of approaches. I had mixed feelings because when ATC works in the sim, it's fantastic and it's very, very useful. But when it doesn't, it's catastrophic. It's just a major pain. And I didn't want to do a 5-hour flight to Maui only to have ATC screw it up. So my goal here is to do a routine descent, approach, and landing. But I freely concede that may be easier said than done. In as much that it's been a long time since I've done it. I'm already blown away by the scenery, however. This looks way different from what I remember in FSX. This is an order of magnitude more impressive. Landing at the sunset. That landing gear alert that you hear is just a quirky little thing of where if the aircraft feels like the throttle's being retarded too much, that it must mean you're about to land, even if you're not. So you can tweak it though by slowing very slowly instead of doing dramatic reductions in your selected airspeed.
Landing gear.
See what I mean?
Landing gear.
It's very twitchy. We're approaching 10,000 feet. We're going to continue our descent. I decided to do my initial descent to 10,000 feet because that's what it always does. What ATC, I don't know if you've noticed, but whenever ATC talks to the other airlines in sim, they're always being instructed to descend to flight level 100 or 10,000 feet, which is funny. Look at Maui. Holy criminy. This looks pretty good. This looks really good. Some beautiful hotels down here on the south shore, the Grand Wailea, the Four Seasons. Look at that. Oh, okay. I gotta focus on flying. Okay, you see here we are. The plan is, therefore, we will switch this to nav 1 as we begin to turn final. And that should intercept the ILS.
Landing gear.
Beautiful. I mean, it's just beautiful. Really something special. So the airport's just off here, about at our, I don't know, 2 o'clock. See if we can. It's out here somewhere. Might be, I don't know. Well, anyway, we're holding steady. We're flying our plan. Let's keep focused here. Descend to 4,000 feet. And shallow out our descent right now. So far, it's going well. Continue our deceleration, so to speak. Nice to be over solid ground again. Despite having flown this so many times, I just can't ever get over the vastness of the Pacific Ocean. I mean, it just goes on and on. There's a lot of water out there, folks. All right, we're 5,500 feet, headed to 4,000. As I said, we need to be at 3,000 feet at camps right there. So we're just fine right now in terms of altitude. Continue decelerating. And again, once we make this right turn, we'll switch over to nav. On the nav source, we'll switch from FMS to nav 1. And in theory, anyway, that should grab the, intercept the localizer and grab the glide slope and, fingers crossed, we'll be in Maui. Sunset. It's local time here in LA is 6:54 p.m. So 4:54 p.m. in Hawaii. Not quite 5. So very nice. Should be on the ground in time for dinner without any problem at all. I'm partial to the Four Seasons. That's where I've stayed. It's right out here somewhere. Wailea, as I recall, right around here, although it's been a long time. Okay, leveling now at 4,000. Continuing our slow down. We'll set our altitude selector at 3,000 because that's the altitude we know we need to be at when we get to camps, CAMPS. And we can begin our descent in a minute. We're still 89 seconds from Harpo. When we get to 60 seconds from Harpo, we'll begin our initiated descent to 3,000 feet. I do see the glide slope indicator here coming up, so that's excellent. Remember, you want to intercept the localizer from under 185. Huh. Oh, I think that's the Grand Wailea. I know that golf course. Oh, that's so sweet. Okay. Okay, prepare to make a right turn here in about 31 seconds. And we will initiate a descent momentarily. Continue slowing down. Get ready to start doing flap deployment, and here's our right turn. Go ahead and activate our landing lights. And by the way, I said that we need to be at 3,000 feet at camps. Actually, the approach plate says we need to be at no lower than 3,000 feet. So it's not as though we have to be at 3,000 feet. But I'm going to play this conservatively and initiate a descent. We're 82 seconds from camps, at which we can be no lower than 3,000 feet. So I'll descend at a rate of 700 feet per minute. That should have us at 3,000 feet, spot on at camps. I must confess, though, a certain degree of tension. It's weird. It's both weird and oddly liberating, not relying on ATC. You know, if it worked, I would use it unhesitatingly. I'm going to set our approach course for runway 2 is 024. Oh, this mouse wheel is going to definitely be the death of me, though. 024. There we go. And airport elevation is 54. ILS is already set. Runway 2, runway length 6998. So here we go. Showtime. Flap deployment 1 notch. And we're going to switch over to approach. I do show us below the glide slope. There's the airport. We're going to press the approach button. This switched over to nav 1 automatically by virtue of pressing the approach button. And you see the CDI here indicating that we're swinging not steeply enough. That's because I forgot to turn off the bank angle indicator, which is not a problem. I should have turned off the bank angle limitation because it kept us from turning steeply enough to intercept that. But we're correcting for it now, and it's okay. You see the CDI now moving back. As this moves to the left, we will turn to the right and intercept it. There's the airport. Right there. And there you go. As promised, intercepting the localizer. Do another notch of flaps.
Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear. Landing gear.
We'll deploy our landing gear at this time. This is good. We are not established on the localizer yet. We're established on the localizer, forgive me, but we're not established on the glide slope. I don't know how I ended up at 2,900. That should be at 3,000. Was my mistake. But it's all right. Anyway, at Tebs, as you recall, we need to be at 2,400. I'm going to set the altitude selector at 2,400, but I'm not going to initiate a descent to 2,400 because what I want to do is to see this drop down, which it's now doing, and then see this white GS turn to a green GS as we intercept the glide slope, which you know, God willing, that's what's going to happen. Winds are out of the northeast, 7 knots, coming like this. What you'd expect. I love the wind turbines. I guess these are new in Maui. These were not here when I was there last. That's pretty cool. Anyway, you can see the runway dead ahead. I'm not going to say anything, but so far this has gone really, really smoothly. Other than forgetting to disable the bank limitation instrument, it's going great. All right, let's continue our deceleration. Approach speed is 149. Keep it up here for now, though. Look at that. I love how they actually move. That is amazing. Wow. Another notch of flaps. Full flaps now. And 9.3 nautical miles from the airport. Auto throttle's doing its job. You hear the engine throttling up and down. You heard it throttle up as we deployed flaps. The additional flap deployment increased aerodynamic drag on the aircraft, and the auto throttle compensated for that by increasing the throttle to stabilize the airspeed. Right now we are just right on 149. Let's go and take a look outside just because it's so beautiful. Look at this. Oh, I love it. Look at that beauty. She's ready to land. She had a big flight across the Pacific. And what are we at now, timer-wise? 5:42. Wow. A lot of headwind. We are established on the glide slope, I should point out. You see how that's now green? I missed it because I was too busy drooling at the beauty of this airplane on the outside. I no longer need to control the altitude because it's established on the glide slope, which means the autopilot's controlling our altitude. It's keeping us at precisely the altitude at which we should be. Go ahead and arm our auto spoilers. Spoilers are the things on the wings that pop up the moment of landing. Help slow the aircraft and disrupt airflow over the wing. Allow the airplane to settle, stable configuration on the runway, and begin its deceleration. All right. Green Diamond still showing us slightly low. 3-mile final, 02. Oh boy, please let this work. This is a big moment. Gear confirmed down. Autopilot's handling the glide slope well. Slightly low, but I do see the Vasi. Red over white. Disengage auto throttle. Disengage autopilot. I have the aircraft.
Autopilot.
So sensitive, this bird. Slight crosswind. Here we go. Well, folks, perhaps not the prettiest landing I've ever done, but we are on the ground in Maui, and we're safe, and I'm feeling pretty good, all things considered. That went really well. All things considered. I'm not complaining. That was a challenge. I'm not gonna lie. Okay. Well, that was exciting. I'm sorry. I'm a little flushed with adrenaline right now. All right. So let's go ahead and clean up the aircraft now that we're safe on the ground. Beautiful Hawaiian sunset. Flaps are retracted. Let's see if those auto spoilers actually went or not. No, I don't see them. That's weird. That's what should have happened. Well, anyway, it's possible that they retracted. Oh, I never did correct the altimeter. Oh, rookie mistake. I'm embarrassed. Let's go ahead and turn off our landing lights. Turn on our taxis. And let's head to parking. Local time 7:07, or excuse me, 5:07. Local time is 7:07 here in LA, but 5:07 p.m. in Kahului, Maui. Welcome. Let's see. I don't know what they want me to do here in terms of parking, but I'm not going to put my $28 million plane in between all these aircraft. This is a little less. Okay, that's better. There we go. This forklift is just gonna, we're just gonna have to pretend that he's not there. Yeah, why don't you go ahead and move, dude? You're not gonna move, are you? Oh my God, could you go any slower? What in the... Hey, honey, move it. It's like she's deliberately blocking me. Okay, well, luckily, there's no damage model for airport scenery. Come on. I'm so ginger with this thing. And that's that. Parking brake engaged. All right, well, that was really fun. I mean, I gotta be honest. That was really fun. It went great. It just went great. I mean, I've been kind of spoiled because my landings in the TBM have been pretty butter for the most part lately. But all in all, I mean, remember, I have settings at hard. So if I had landed at a, you know, rate that was unsafe or would have caused damage, it would have told me that. I mean, unfortunately, I know that that's the case because it's happened. Whew, 59 gallons left. Yikes. We're on fumes. Anyway, that's that. We're in Maui and happy to be here and depressurize here while I'm thinking about it. And hey, this is exciting. This heralds a potential new era for my exploration of Flight Sim 2020 because now we can go basically anywhere. Let's look outside as we often do. Beautiful, beautiful Hawaiian afternoon. Our beautiful Citation Longitude, fresh in from California. Brought us safely across the Pacific. 5 hours and 40 minutes, longer than I would have preferred. But with the headwinds we were dealing with, I can understand. That's it. We'll see where fate takes us next. Have a good night.